Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 111. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we are taking a look at Project 06, Suzume, Redfall, Knuckles spinoff series, Star Wars Visions 2, The Marvels, Jonathan Majors, Mando Season 3, the Mario movie, and more. So first, let's talk about our recent activities. I will let Damian go first because I'm actually kind of curious about certain things that he has on the list. So,
I'll save that one for last. But so first off, there was a bunch of DLCs that came out. So I've already talked about the Fire Emblem DLC. I finished it, and yeah, it was pretty good. You know, like I said before, I think the maps were a little lame. Like they weren't that interesting, like compared to like all the other maps and the rest of Engage. I thought they were really good, but the DLC kind of, like the last map was cool, but the rest of them were pretty basic. I did like the story a lot. Like I think the story was a big improvement from the like base game, because the base game story is kind of like whatever. It's very like anime and stuff. I think there's some good parts in it, but for the most part, Engage was mostly about the gameplay and stuff, which is fine. You know, I think Fire Emblem's gameplay is good enough to like stand on its own. But I think the DLC does add a lot to like the story and stuff, and I really enjoy what they put there. It doesn't really connect with anything in like the broader scope of like the game's main plot or whatever. It's kind of like its own standalone thing, kind of like really anime movie-esque type deal where it's like none of this really matters, but it was good. I really did enjoy it. I think it's worth picking up if you already bought the expansion pass, because I think all the other missions you get, like the other DLC emblems, are also fun, so wouldn't hurt just to buy. I think it's only like $20 anyway, so yeah, I think it was well worth the money. Overall, I really ended up liking Engage a lot more than I thought I would. I still think Three Houses is better, but Engage was honestly a really good time, and I liked it a lot. Same thing goes for Horizon Forbidden West. The Burning Shores DLC came out, and basically, you know, if you also like Horizon, you'll like this. It's just more Horizon. Except this one actually is important. Like the Horizon DLCs basically act as like little bridges between like the major games, I guess. So like Frozen Wilds like connected to 2 because there was some stuff that was going to happen, and now Burning Shores is kind of like acting as a connector from Horizon 2 to 3, because you know they go through like a lot more important plot stuff or dealing with stuff that was left over from the base game. So yeah, I think the story is really good. You know, I really do like her like the Horizon lore and stuff. You know, there's like a lot of interesting things going on there. And since this is a PS5 exclusive DLC, like, you know, Forbidden West was for PS4 and PS5. This DLC is only for PS5. I think the game looks really, I mean, I already thought Forbidden West looked great, but this game looks really good. Like the water and like the clouds and shit. Like they kept talking about the clouds, and like, yeah, the clouds look really good. So yeah, the game looks phenomenal. Like it's actually insane. Like it kind of hurts my eyes because of how good it looks. But yeah, like absolutely like fantastic, like just visuals and stuff. And like I said, the missions are just as fun as in the main campaign. Some interesting side quests, not too many because again it's just a smaller DLC. And you know, you have some new weapons that are really fun. Like you get like this like arm buster thing, and it's like really strong and really fun. You get that towards like the end of the DLC. And some collectibles and stuff, you know, just the standard open world stuff. The map is pretty big, but I wish there was more activities in it, because I felt like this is like big, but there's like nothing that much to do, which is in contrast to like regular Forbidden West, where I felt like there was a lot of things to do in the map. So that was a little weird, but yeah, overall, I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I think if you like Horizon, you should probably play it, because you probably are gonna have to play it to understand what happens in 3. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Good piece of DLC, just like Frozen Wilds was, and can't wait for Horizon 3. And next, I played the Resident Evil 2 remake. I want to get more into Resident Evil. I've only played 5 all the way, and that's not really a great indication of that series. I liked it. Like I think Resident Evil 5 was a lot of fun, but you know, it's very different from the rest of the Resident Evils. And I really do want to play 4 remake this year, because you know, I've been hearing so many good things about it.
And the mods.
And the mods. Yeah, and the mods, yes. But yes, RE2 remake is really fucking good. You know, I thought this was a good stepping stone to get into it, because, you know, it's like more modernized, but it still gives you like, it's not super action based, like it's a lot more scary and stuff. And yeah, this game made me jump quite a bit. Like it's not like the most scary thing ever. Like, you know, I'm kind of like a bitch with horror stuff, but I think you could survive a few jump scares, and like the tension is like just the thing that really gets you, because like, yeah, the zombies move slow and stuff, but like, you know, you still don't get a lot of ammo. Zombies like could take a shit ton of hits. Like sometimes you can like one shot a zombie. Sometimes it takes like 7 bullets to kill them. I think that's a good way to sort of build tension and stuff. Then you have Mr. X who like shows up halfway through the game and he just follows you throughout the whole police station, and it's fucking terrifying every time you hear his footsteps coming about. And the game is just a ton of fun. Like the scares are really fun. I really like the puzzles and stuff. Like I felt like once again items. I could go back to do this and then do this and get more items and ammo, and then you just keep continuing on. It has a really nice progression path. Overall I think it was just really great. I think the game is like super cheap now, and you can just like try it out. Like I think it's a great way to sort of experience Resident Evil. Like it gives you a good slice of like the action, like the story, and like all that stuff. So yeah, I had a really good time with it. I'm really looking forward to playing 3 Remake and then 4 Remake eventually. So I think it was really goddamn good. So now finally I have Project 06. So this was like, I knew about this for a little bit. Like this has been a thing for a few years already.
Yeah.
Basically one guy named Chaos X, I think, has been sort of porting and remastering Sonic 06 to PC, but it's not just like a straight remaster or port. Like he's basically like fixing a lot of the game and like making it better. So far he has Sonic, Shadow, and Silver's like level select. So it's not like the whole story. Like it just has all their individual levels. That's what he's like up to so far. And it's been really good. The game looks great now. Like the visuals really pop and stuff. Like the game just looks a lot more vibrant. It runs pretty well. I mean, I think you have to have a pretty high-end PC to play it because it's not like optimized. Because it's made by one guy, so like I can't really ask much for like optimization or anything. Yeah. So I have like a 2070 Super. So like if you have that card, you should be okay. But if you have anything below that, I might struggle a bit. But yeah, anyway, I think it looks great. It runs pretty well as well. And the major improvements are from like just the controls and just how the game feels. For one, like everything is just faster. Like Sonic, Shadow, and Silver just move a lot faster. Sonic has like his bounce bracelet. His homing attack animation is way quicker now. He basically controls how you think he would control, like an adventure style game now. The Mach speed segment, it's crazy how much they improved that. Like you can actually like move around now. When you jump, you're not stuck to just committing to that jump. Like you have midair control now. Like I don't know if you remember this, like in the first Mach speed section in Wave Ocean, you know that secret path to the left? I could never hit that in the original game because you just fucking died. In this game I can actually hit it, and it's like crazy. So yeah, the Mach speed segment is like they run really great. Sonic himself controls really nice now. Yeah. But I think we knew how we wanted Sonic to control in 06. Just make him like a Venture. I think Shadow and Silver were the more like, how do we fix this? And Shadow is like, again, just like Sonic, he's like a lot faster. His homing attack animation is really fast. His dumb like melee combo thing when he homing attacks is also like really fast now. He could do his Chaos Sphere still in the air, but it also like makes him do another homing attack, so you could keep on moving. So if you homing attack Chaos Spear, then you can homing attack again, so it keeps the momentum up. He could spin dash now too. Sonic can spin dash as well now, which gives you a lot of momentum and shit. He could Chaos Blast like in Shadow the Hedgehog. He'd go into like his like weird chaos state and like teleport everywhere. Like it feels great. Like they did a great job with Shadow. But I think my favorite one is Silver. One, I love Silver. But two, they just made him like so much better. Like he's not like stuck to like a light jog anymore. He could like, after you walk a little bit, he goes into like a dash, like where he's like actually like going fast. His hover is a lot faster. He could shoot like this little psychic beam thing that stuns enemies, and then you could pick them up with the telekinesis and throw them around. It feels really good. I think they did a great job with Silver. The only problem I have with all these changes is the level design wasn't really built for them to go like as fast as they're going. Especially with Silver, I noticed like I overshoot a lot of jumps and shit, probably because he's not supposed to go that fast. So that is one issue, but it's also kind of an issue just for the level design in general. Like it's still Sonic 06, it can only be so good, but I think Chaos X did a great job, and he also added some like little mid-level cutscenes as well. So like this like stage transitions and like little intro to stages now, and they're so well animated. Like it's actually crazy. Like I didn't know the 06 models could be that expressive, but he did a great job like just making those characters not feel like weird lanky people like in the original 06. So And that's not to even mention like all the other improvements he did to the other characters, like Knuckles, Rouge, like they both feel like Adventure 2 now. Like they feel really good to use. Tails could actually use his tails instead of using his dumb ring bomb thing. So yeah, the changes are really impressive. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I think if you go to his YouTube channel, you could download the game from there. Yeah, it's really good, and I can't wait to see him add the boss fights and like the hub areas and stuff, because yeah, 06 could actually be a pretty okay game if that's the case. So yeah, it's really good. Very impressed. Like mostly because it's like one dude. So yeah, definitely give it a try if you have any interest in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Sonic 06 has always been dubbed as like Sonic Adventure 3, and I think that that's what they were aiming for, and then they didn't stick the landing, so they're like, well, we're not gonna, say it's that, but it is what it is.
It basically is Sonic Adventure 3, and this like mod is basically being like, it's Adventure 3. So, if you ever want to play 06 but good, play this.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out because as much as flack as 06 gets, I do have some, I guess, like soft spots for it, because I do think that it was very ambitious with the story. The addition of Silver I thought was really, really cool. I still remember me and you trying to figure out the desert like glitch. Yeah. That shit was so funny. I was just like, how the fuck do we do this as like 10 to 12-year-olds? I fucking forget, but
Yeah, I think he even fixed that. Like the puzzle isn't as annoying anymore. So that's nice. I haven't tried it out yet, but
that puzzle was fucking ass. So
yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Literally, I don't think I've ever done it the correct way. I've always just done the glitch.
I've always glitched it. Yeah, I've always glitched it. Yeah.
But yeah, cannot wait to eventually check that one out. So what have I been doing? I've been doing a lot of watching shows and movies. So first up, Beef on Netflix. This is pretty much the newest sort of original series that they're advertising on the platform. It's like number 1 on there, and for good fucking reason. I mean, this is made by A24. They have a lot of people that did Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know that the cinematographer or something like that, someone that did like the camera work for that movie, is on this show, which is why it is shot so nicely. And the director Sonny, he's really good. Like he told a phenomenal story. It's 10 episodes long. There's it's like 30 to 40 minutes per episode. You have Stephen Young and Ali Wong, who pretty much get into a road rage incident, and they pretty much ruin each other's lives for the rest of the series in various ways emotionally, and it's crazy because every single episode I was literally up out of my seat running around like, what the fuck is happening? No way that shit just happened. And the way that they make these characters so interesting and so engaging to watch, because they're so fucking crazy and they're so broken and they're so human in that regard. It's like, wow, I fucking love this show. It hasn't been officially renewed for season 2 or 3, because I know that Sonny, like I said, the creator, he has like a 3-season map out plan or something like that from what I read. But this first season, if this is the only one we get, it's fucking great. Like this is Stephen Young's best performance. Ali Wong, we watched her in Maybe Be My Maybe or something like that. It was like a sort of like rom-com movie, but I haven't seen her in a lot of things outside of that, but she was great here. Pretty much everyone in this show has like a standout performance, and like you cannot really ask much else from that. And yeah, like this is like one of my favorite shows of this year and on Netflix in a while. Like it's been so long since I've gotten into a brand new Netflix show that's like this fucking good. Like I cannot sing its praises enough, because it really is like 10 out of 10 material. Like there's nothing really wrong with it that I can really think of. Like every episode makes you want to, hit next and go next and go next until you're at the end. And yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. That's why I'm not really like spoiling anything, because I really want everyone to go out and see this, because you'll see from like episode 1 how genius they are in terms of like just like setting up the story and everything. So
yeah, I'll probably check it out. I really like everywhere all at once. So yeah. It's hard to say.
It's okay. Into the Spider-Verse I watched because my girlfriend hasn't watched it, and I'm like, we're gonna see fucking Across the Spider-Verse opening night, so I'm like, we gotta watch this again. So I forgot how funny that movie actually is. Like, I forgot how many jokes like they just throw in for like just like audiences and just like Spider-Man fans in general as well. Like the movie is actually very, very funny, but at the same time, telling the origin story of Miles Morales within this Spider-Verse sort of continuity, and it's really, really good. And as a comic book nerd myself, I can see a lot of the elements that they were pulling from Miles' first run as his own solo standalone series. So, I cannot wait to see what they do for Across the Spider-Verse, because at this point, it's like a completely different Spider-Man story. I'm sure that they're going to pull things from the comic book still, but obviously, like, you're going into a whole new territory once you're bringing in every single version of Spider-People. So,
yeah.
Suzume, this is the brand new, what's his name? It's the newest
Your
anime
name.
movie.
Your name guy.
From the creator Makoto Shinkai. I fucking butchered that so hard. But, he made Your Name. He also did Weathering with You. Those are the only two films I've seen from him, and now it's Suzume. I watched it subbed and dubbed because I saw it on two separate occasions. Obviously, I saw it with my brother because he really does like Your Name. He's not a huge fan of anime, but he really did like Your Name, and I saw it with my girlfriend dubbed. Subbed and dubbed doesn't really matter. I mean, I think that anime dubs have been getting a lot better, especially for the movies, because I watched Your Name dubbed when it first came out because I wasn't that into anime, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just watch it like that, and I was like blown away by that experience. But Suzume, it's not Your Name level. It's almost there, in my opinion. But I think that, what's it called? It's definitely better than Weathering with You. Weathering with You is like kind of like a copy and paste job in some regards, which is like a sort of critique with a lot of his films. And like you can see elements within Suzume, but like there's a lot of other different things here. Like for one, like the fucking main character gets turned into a chair, like he's he's a chair for most of the movie, and like seeing that sort of like, I guess, like romance sort of foster and sort of how that transpires is very interesting. But yeah, I mean, I really did like this film. I think that the visuals were really, really good. Once again, I think that you can say the same thing with Weathering with You, even though I didn't like it as much. Like every single one of his movies is just like really, really nice to look at. And Suzume, if you don't want to see it in theaters, sure, wait for it to go on Blu-ray or whatever. But like if you are a fan of Your Name and you liked his other films, you could definitely go check this out. Subbed or dubbed doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Next up we got here is Love is Blind, the reunion. So I've been watching Love is Blind, the newest season, with my girlfriend because as much as I say that I hate it, I actually do like watching it because it is just so funny just seeing these people fall in love, because they don't see how the other person looks like for like the first couple weeks that they're dating or whatever. Then you see them go on, a vacation, and then they're living with each other, and then they get married or whatever. This season was full of drama, which is why I was like super into it. I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? There's like 3 different love triangles going on.
Oh, God.
Yo, she's like self-sabotaging. Like this shit is crazy right now. So the reunion, the reason why I put this on here is because it was a whole event on Twitter because Netflix was fucking down because they were trying to live stream it. And I'm like, why is Netflix trying to live stream something when they never live streamed something before? And I'm like, do you know how big Love is Blind is? Which like I didn't know, first off. And then I went on Twitter and I saw all of these people that I follow talking about it. And I was like, you fucking watch this shit too? I was like, no fucking way. So like they must have those analytics to know that like Love is Blind is like one of their biggest shows. And it's like, you're going to do a live stream with like possibly like millions of people trying to watch on your service all at once. Of course it's not going to fucking work. So what they did was they recorded it and then they had the quote unquote live stream happen later that night because it was delayed for like 2 fucking hours or something like that. Like it was delayed for so long, which is why people were so mad. But once it was finally up and like going, oh my God, I wish there was a chat feature. If there's a fucking chat feature, that would have been so funny. Like imagine if this shit was on Twitch, that shit would have been gold. But yeah, like a lot of people like sort of like gave up on the live stream, and then it went up the next day at like 12 p.m. or something like that. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because that shit was crazy because of the amount of people that were just on Netflix that it literally crashed their whole service. Like even if you went to like their homepage and like try to like click on something, it would just crash. So, and then I was like quote unquote background watching some like MCU things just because I was like doing some homework or whatever. So I briefly watched Captain America Civil War because I was like, I want to see how they were introducing Spider-Man again, because I thought that was like one of like the best parts of that movie, even though that he wasn't really like a huge part of it. And also I think that after Winter Soldier, like that's sort of like when Captain America was really shining within the MCU and everything. So just rewatching that movie and just like having fun with it. And then I watched Assembled, one of their like making of series, sort of like a documentary style for their Disney Plus shows, and I watched Miss Marvel because I really love Miss Marvel as a character, and I think that even though this adaptation really did steer away from the comics, I think that what they did with it in its 6 episodes, mind you, was decent. You know, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, you know, the best thing ever. It was fairly good. So seeing like the thought process and sort of how they were sort of creating like the superhero con that they had and sort of the certain story beats and how they were introducing sort of like the cultural stuff in there, I was like, all right, yeah, like this like pretty cool. It really did make me like the show a lot more. While I watched the other making ofs, I don't know, they have one on Thor Love and Thunder, which I think is very interesting because that movie turned into a shit show. But yeah. That's pretty much everything I've been doing. So now let's get into the general news. First up, I got a hitter for Damian. I didn't watch this, so I want to know everything that happened within this state of play.
All right, so the Final Fantasy 16 state of play happened, and basically, yeah, the game looks really good. They went over everything about the game, or most of the things. I'm pretty sure there's going to be another state of play about it, because Yoshi P, like the director of the game, was like, yeah, we're going to talk about more stuff later. So, yeah, there's probably gonna be another state of play, but this one does a good overview of like what the game is about. First it went into like the combat and stuff, and yeah, this game is not like, you know, your typical Final Fantasies where it's like turn-based and stuff. Like, it is an action combat game, but the combat is basically just DMC this time. We already knew this for a little bit, but they showed a lot more combos and how things work, and yeah, I think it looks great. Final Fantasy 15 was also action combat, but it was like, you know, I like Final Fantasy 15, but yeah, the combat was like really weak. You just kind of hit a button. You could like teleport to people and like do some other stuff, but it wasn't really that engaging. And it's kind of like why I don't really like action RPGs that much, because I feel it mostly boils down to just mashing one button a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. However, this game looks like it's going to fix that problem by just making it more like an actual action game with DMC, since the director of DMC5, the combat director, is the combat director for this game. So you can see a lot of similarities. Like, you have like launchers and like combos and a bunch of other bullshit that DMC has, and it looks great. Like, it's very flashy. You could change your icon, which is like your like fighting stance. So you could be like, you're in Ifrit mode or in Phoenix mode or whatever. So you just change like your moves and stuff. And it looks really fun and fluid. Not to mention, I think the game looks great as well. I think this game is only for PS5 at the moment. So I think it's really making use of all that PS5 power that it has in there. Another interesting thing is it's not open world. It's going to be like zone based. So like, instead of having like a big open world, you're going to have like big zones you could travel in between and stuff. And I think that's for the best. You know, I think a lot of people have that open world fatigue and stuff. So I think having maybe smaller areas that are like more dense, I think that should benefit the game more in general. If like, I don't think like every game should be an open world game at this point. I think it's fine to sort of have like these, more detailed, like bigger areas. So I think that's a good direction for this game to go in as well. Another like thing people were like, I guess, concerned about was if there was gonna be party members, and that like kind of is like there are party members that join you, but you can't play as them. Like they're kind of just with you and help you out in combat, but you can't play as them. I do think that is a low lane. Like I think Final Fantasy VII Remake did that really well, where you could play as any character you want, and they all have like the different play styles and stuff, but. I think the sort of like summoning switching thing that your main character could do is going to compensate for that, since it looks like there's going to be a bunch of different gameplay styles just with your main guy, just like DMC where you could change weapons and stuff. Like it looks like they go for that angle instead, but I know that's still going to be sort of like an issue with a lot of people, but that's fine. And sort of like the big thing, like I guess the big selling point for this game is the icon battles, where it becomes like Attack on Titan, where you have a few people. So it's basically just Attack on Titan when you have a few select people that can transform into these icons and just have giant kaiju battles, and each battle is supposed to be different. So like there's gonna be one where it's like a rail shooter, there's gonna be one where it's like a big like wrestling match and shit. And they showed a few of them at the end, and they look insane. I'm kind of concerned they're gonna be very scripted. Like it's gonna just like, it's kind of like a fun thing you do, but it's just like, there's not like a lot of skill involved. You kind of just do it. But I think that's fine because I think the spectacle alone just sells it at how big these fights are. Like there's one where your character turns into Ifrit, which is like this weird giant demon monster guy, and he's like running up Titan, and he's like humongous, and you're just running along his fucking thing like Sonic, and it looks amazing. So I think these icon fights are definitely gonna be the big highlight of the game, and I think a lot of people will talk about once the game comes out. And besides that, they also go through some of the RPG elements of the game, which again is another concern of me, because since the game is a lot more action focused, it seems like there's a lot less focus on the RPG elements. And yeah, like it seems like that's going to be the case here. Like you could equip some items, you could level up and stuff. Like, you know, you could usually equip some skills and stuff, but it doesn't look like that deep in general. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people that are like more into the traditional Final Fantasies are like really hesitant in this game. And if you're not into like, you know, action focused games, then I don't know if this game is going to be for you. But I think for a general audience, I think the game is going to do a lot better overall. And I think that's what Final Fantasy as a series really needs to do, is like kind of get back with that sort of like just general audience, since people don't really care about Final Fantasy as much as they used to during like the PS2 and like PS1 days. So yeah, I think they're going for a good direction here. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully they could flesh out some of the RPG systems, because it does look a little bare bones. But besides that, I'm very excited for it. And yeah, I hope it just turns out good. It's supposed to be coming out June 22nd. And they say they're basically like in for that. Like it's not gonna be delayed or anything. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing more news about it, since they're supposed to talk about like some of the end game stuff. So I'm assuming that's like super bosses at the end and a bunch of other cool stuff. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Looks like a lot of fun. I love Yoshi P. He's basically the dude behind Final Fantasy 14, and that game I fucking love 14. So hopefully he could deliver and show that like Final Fantasy isn't completely dead, and we could look forward to it. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. That's all I can really say.
Yep.
All right, so next thing we got here is the Suicide Squad game has officially been delayed. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League will now launch on February 2nd, 2024. They said in their statement, "We have made the tough decision but necessary decision to take the time needed to work on getting the game to be the best quality experience for players. Thank you to our amazing community for the continued support, patience, and understanding. There is so much more to share in the months ahead, and we look forward to seeing you in Metropolis next year." So yeah, I mean, it looks like that those reports that came out a few months ago are true, that, yeah, they are delaying the game. I mean, after that, I guess, state of play presentation that they did a while back, and people were like, the game doesn't look as good as we wanted it to. The Battle Pass thing, the sort of generic gameplay that everyone kind of had, it did not look like it was living up to expectations. The whole live service thing, obviously. So I don't know how much that they're going to retool. I think that after Avengers, they probably should have saw this coming, but that's just me, in my opinion. So for them to be as bold as they were to sort of show the game in the state that it was, having all of those live service features and having the characters sort of operate in similar fashion was very, very much like a misread on what their audience really wanted. So hopefully when it does come out in February, some of those things can be changed, because I don't even know how much that they can really retool with the game that they have right now, because it seemed like that the game was for the most part complete, but now that they have all of this time to sort of work on it, almost a year's worth, honestly, to sort of redo everything and sort of change the way that the game is, I wonder how that's going to look.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like of the opinion, like, just release it, because I feel like no matter what they do, it's like still gonna get like railed on. Like I don't think anyone is really gonna be that kind to it. I think the most they could do in like a year is probably remove the always online restriction. Like I think that's gonna be one of the first things they do. I'm seeing people saying like they have to remove the battle pass. Like I felt like some of these things feel too baked into the game that they just can't do that. Like this game was built to be a live service game, so they can only do so much. So that's why I feel like I think Rocksteady should just like cut their losses and just release it, because I feel like at this point I think it's just gonna be a flop no matter what. I mean, maybe they could do some things that give the characters more like identity, like maybe make like King Shark actually do like shark things instead of like just shooting a gun. Make Captain Boomerang actually use boomerangs and stuff. Like I feel like that stuff could also be done to make the characters more unique instead of just being a generic like looter shooter like it looks like it's gonna be. But yeah, I just don't know how much work could really be done in like a year to fix all these systems that people don't like, which is basically all of them. Because people are basically sick. There's two things people are sick of: is live service games and open world games at this point. Because they come out a lot, so people are just kind of sick of them, and people want another Arkham game, basically, just with like maybe like the Suicide Squad. I think that was like the dream a lot of people had, but unfortunately, it's this. And I'm personally am pretty like critical that they're not going to be able to do this. They're not going to be able to turn it around, but we'll see how much work Rocksteady could really do in like a year. But for me, it's not looking so good for them. But,
I mean, I was 100% going to buy it at launch and sort of play it and sort of make my own opinion of it, because like you said, I'm kind of also of the opinion for them to just release it and then see what happens, because a lot of opinions were out there about Gotham Knights where it was like, oh, like the game isn't as good as the Batman Arkham games, and suddenly people were turning around being like, you know what, Gotham Knights was a pretty good game and all of this other stuff. And then the game came out and obviously it wasn't as good, but a lot of people still bought it, including myself, because of the multiplayer feature. I think that might be a selling point, that they're underselling themselves, because a lot of people will buy a game, even though it's terrible, mediocre, whatever, because they can play with their friends. I think that is such a huge thing. And because you want to play with your friends, you get at least 2 sales there. Like 100%. You get at least 2 sales there. And maybe this game actually would have came out and done okay. Not to say that it's a bad thing that they delayed it. I think that if they're able to turn some of these features around and sort of make the game that people want it to be, and also at the same time make it good, because I think that's like obviously like the most important part of any game is that it's good and that it's enjoyable for people to play and have a good time with. And I'm sure that it was from the state that it was in, where everyone was sort of just running around with ARs and just like shooting enemies and looter shooter things, whatever. But I think that if they're able to create a experience where all of these characters feel unique in their own right, I think that would be a lot better.
I just think live service games are like really, really hard to make. Like, there's a lot of them coming out, obviously, but there's a lot more coming out. Like, I forgot like that they're making like a Crash like game that's like a live service game. Capcom is doing that Exo Primal, which is another live service game. Like, there's a lot of live service games coming out, and I just feel like it's hard to really make a game and sort of have that continued support. Yeah, because if you see the numbers just go down after the first week, it's like, well, I guess we're fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like, it's the same thing with like MOBAs and like shooters too, where it's like a lot of people have like that franchise that they always go back to and they always play. Like, for example, no one's making a fucking MOBA, because it's like you either play League or you play Dota. And then to those people that jumped into like Pokemon, I fucking forget what the
Pokemon
name
Unite.
of it. Yeah, when people jumped into that, for like the first week, people were like, oh, like this is like a Pokemon MOBA, all right, it's cool. And then those that stuck around was like maybe 10% of it, if I had to guess, maybe even less, who knows. But a lot of people, they jump to those newer games. It's the same thing with like platform fighters. People always want to jump on the ship and sort of be like the Smash Bros killer, but everyone's gonna go back to Smash Brothers because that's the first one, and it was done really, really well. Nicktoons fell off. The Warner Brothers one, they're still working on it or whatever, but a lot of people have fallen off of that too. So it's kind of hard to really break into these genres where it's like you have this one super big mega powerhouse like live service games where you got like Destiny and stuff, and then it's like, all right, well, I want to get into that, but it's really, really hard.
Yeah, because like you said, everyone's always going to have that one that came out first because they probably got really attached to it and have all their characters and stuff. So when you make a new one, it's really hard for people to like not let go of that. So that's why, it always happens. Like with MMOs during the day, it was like, WoW was kind of like the big boy. And you got some other big ones too, like 14 and like, Elder Scrolls Online. But so many of the other ones died because they couldn't compete with them. Same thing with MOBAs. Like, they had like Heroes of New Earth and some other ones. All those bit the shit too because, League of Legends and Dota existed. So yeah, and same thing with Battle Royales. Remember when everyone was making Battle Royales and really only Fortnite, Apex, and like kind of PUBG survived? So yeah, it's kind of like a really harsh market. it. So hopefully Rocksteady knows what they're doing, because again, it's a hard market to break into because people only have so much time and people already have their favorite game. So you're gonna have to prove a lot to like be like something people want to invest a lot of time into. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, okay, well, I'm playing this game and I'm liking it, but no one else is playing it. So what's the point of me playing this if they're going to shut it down in a few months? I'm going to stop playing it. So yeah, it's really complicated. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty much that, especially for the super, super big genres, if you're a multiplayer sort of centric game and it's like, all right, well, you need the player base to survive for you to keep, making money off this game. It's like, well, what's going to happen?
Yeah, so we can only hope it does well, but I doubt it. But I guess we'll see next year. All right, so next we got the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom trailer, the final trailer. And this was really fucking good. So for a while, a lot of people were really skeptical about this game. Like, what are they really adding anything? Is it just pulling sticks on rocks and stuff? Like, is that really enough for like a $70 sequel? And I think this one trailer really did alleviate a lot of those issues. Just from here, we see there's a lot more going on. Link has like a squirrel suit now. It looks like there's like underground segments. There's like story stuff they've been showing.
Everyone wants to fuck Ganondorf.
Everyone wants to fuck Ganon Daddy. There's like boss fights, different boss fights and stuff. It's looking really good. And I said this last time. I obviously knew Nintendo wasn't gonna just be like, we have nothing. I know they had something cooking. They just didn't want to show us because of like spoiler reasons, I guess. And they just showed it here. It's like, hey, look, this game is a lot bigger than you think it's gonna be. So yeah, I am definitely very excited for the game. My hype level was pretty middling. I was like excited for it, but I was like, whatever. Now I'm like very excited. I cannot wait to play this game now. So I think this trailer really did show that they have a lot of stuff without showing it, explicitly, because they still want it to be a surprise. Like maybe you're exploring stuff, be like, whoa, I didn't know this was here. At least that's what I'm hoping they're going for. So I don't know if there's gonna be dungeons. We still don't know any of that stuff, but it does look like there's gonna be like a lot more land besides Hyrule, like underground or in the sky, because the Sky Islands look a lot bigger than people thought they were gonna be as well. So yeah, is looking really good. It was just a really hype trailer in general. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, Nintendo knows what they're doing. I think we said this the last time. Excuse me, when they had the sort of gameplay presentation. It's like, all right, yeah, there's all of this new stuff, and there's a lot more that they aren't showing, obviously. Like, they're being very purposeful with what they are showing for this game because they are scared to show too much. And even this trailer, they might think it's showing too much because there's a lot of stuff here that's just happening, like Link's like floating within certain areas. He's like rewinding time with like projectiles and shit. And it's like, okay, yeah, like that's happening. How do I do that? It's like, all right, you'll find out when you play the game. And I think that is something that only Nintendo can really do in all honesty. Cause it's like, they have this sort of prestige and this degree where it's like, oh, okay, it's a Zelda sequel to Breath of the Wild. So it's gotta be good, right? And then now they're showing it. It's like, okay, yeah, it's good. So I think that a lot of those doubts that people had hopefully are sort of diminished because it is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. And it looks like that it is shaping up to be just as good and hopefully better than Breath of the Wild, which I think is the goal for a sequel. It should always be the goal for a sequel, to just be better than its predecessor. And I think that somehow Nintendo is fucking doing it, with all of these gameplay elements and, these interesting story beats as they're sort of, teasing here and there. It looks like Tears of the Kingdom will hopefully live up to people's expectations. And if not, fuck it, we're going to have another Last of Us Part 2 all over again.
Yeah, I guess we'll see when the game comes out. But I'm having high hopes. I'm hoping like the game just has more content, has more stuff just because it's building off of Breath of the Wild. So I guess we'll see. Honestly, like I feel like its baseline is going to be enjoyable either way. So I'm still very excited for it. So we'll see if it lives up to the big expectations.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from there, we got some pretty big gaming news that was going on Twitter. So yeah. Redfall announced that it will be launching at 30 FPS. And that had a lot of people upset. I mean, if you look at the tweet itself, it has 5K quote retweets And just to give some context for you guys, there's only 6K likes on it. So obviously a lot of people had a lot of things to say about it, including us, as we are going to talk about it here. I think that when you're releasing a next generation game, especially for Xbox consoles, it's like, oh shit, like we kind of need like a W here kind of thing. You know, I think that we've said this before time and time again, where it's like the Xbox Series X and the PS5 games, I don't care if it's 4K, it's got to be 60 FPS. 60 FPS console gaming has to be the future. Launching these games at 30 and then later on being like, all right, now we're going to have the 60 FPS update. I'm tired of that shit, because it's like, if I'm buying the game at launch, why do I have to wait until I get the 60 FPS experience, which is a lot better than 4K, in all honesty. Like, you know, the fucking pretty visuals, I don't give a shit about, honestly. I think that the frame rate, especially 60, and to those people that say they can't see it or bullshitting you, I think that 60 FPS is a lot more important than having 4K resolution at launch. That's just my opinion.
I definitely agree. Every time I get a new next-gen game, put that shit in performance mode. I don't care. Give me that 60 frames. And I remember trying it when Miles came out, and, you know, it defaulted to the 30 frames. I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty. Then I put 60. I'm like, oh my God, it just feels so much better. So I feel like next-gen games should just be baseline 60 frames. Like, I feel like to give you not even the option to make it 30 or 60 is, like, insane to me. And, you know, I think Redfall is already in such a bad situation where people really aren't sure about it to begin with, because it's, again, like another live service-y type game. But it's also sandwiched between, like, Jedi Survivor and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I feel like this shit's been set up to fail, which is really annoying. Because, you know, Arcane has made great games, you know, Dishonored, Deathloop and stuff, Prey. So, like, I feel like Microsoft should just delay the game. Like, if it's not Rary, which it seems like it's clearly not Rary, just delay it. Like, delay it to, like, October or something, you know? It's already such a busy few months for gaming in general that I feel like Redfall's gonna get eaten alive. And this 30 FPS news is not helping it at all. So, yeah, I feel like next-gen games should just launch, like, 60 frames, like, with no question, you know?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people within the community agree with us, where it's like, especially because Xbox really does need a W somewhere, they really do need to sort of pick it up in that department of like console exclusive games, where it's like you have this game that's like their next sort of big title, and it's like, all right, guys, so here's what's going on. Shit. No. And pretty much the entire community is kind of like, all right, well, I'm not gonna buy the game at launch then, you know, like they're gonna wait, and like that's gonna obviously hurt sales of the game, and that's gonna make retailers be like, all right, well, it's not moving units, so we might need to do a price cut here, you know, kind of thing. And at that point, it's like, now you're losing money on the game. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying delaying it is the best idea. I think that just having 60 FPS is like, just it's literally just so important these days.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it just feels like so archaic. Why was that 30 frames? The only people that should be doing 30 frames are like Nintendo games, because, like, yeah, the Switch is like weak as shit. But yeah, everything else should be 60 at this point. Like, it just kind of feels like a standard that should be met in the next gen age. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely a big L there. All right, so next we got some Sonic stuff. So Knuckles, the Paramount Plus series is starting to take shape. They showed a little image with Knuckles' little hat on the director thingy. So, you know, his hat from the Sonic OVA. Oh, no. Yeah, the Sonic OVA. Yeah, so, yeah, his little cowboy hat. Obviously, Idris Elba is returning as Knuckles. And it's going to be featuring Wade, the weird cop guy. So Knuckles is going to be training him to be an Echidna warrior. So that's going to be the plot of this series. And it's going to be in between Sonic 2 and 3. So, yeah, not really what I was expecting. But, you know, yeah, I mean, that sounds like it could be a fun little series. Hopefully we get some things that would happen in Sonic 3. But again, this Sonic movie series isn't, like, that serious to begin with. So, like, maybe just having, like, a fun little thing here. You know, I think that'd be a fun time. I mean, I love Idris Elba as Knuckles. I think he did a great job in Sonic 2. So seeing him more in this series is going to be a treat, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside is that it's on fucking Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
so
I don't have Paramount Plus. So.
You're going to have to fucking subscribe to that. But yeah, I think that the fact that Idris Elba is on here is really, really cool. I think that a lot of people were disappointed when they saw that like little short that they did that he didn't return to voice that, which is fine. It's just like a one-off little short. But to have him on for this series, that's great. I cannot wait to see it. I think that them sort of having these like human characters interact with the Sonic characters more is just going to be a thing within these movies, which I'm fine with. A lot of what makes these movies, I guess, like funny is those human characters. So it looks like that this series may just like go into that more, because Knuckles is like a pretty funny character who's still like a fish out of water kind of thing. So I wonder on how all that's going to work. They do have a pretty interesting cast. A lot of people from notable films such as Don't Look Up, someone from Game of Thrones, etc.
What the hell?
They got some people on here that have worked on some pretty serious stuff. So to see them in this Knuckles series is going to be quite interesting. So cannot wait to see that. Next up we got here is Lego has officially announced the new Sonic sets. So they did one of just like a Sonic versus Eggman kind of thing. But now they're going to have a bunch of other sets, which has been sort of like rumored and leaked for a while now. But now this is the official reveal. So now we got brand new Tails and Amy minifigures, and that's pretty cool. They also have some other sets featuring Dr. Eggman, who is also not a minifigure, but like a different like build of him. They also have a Sonic that's like winking and stuff. So, obviously, like Lego sets are not cheap either, so obviously these are gonna run you some pretty high dollars. And if you plan to collect every single set, you're gonna get multiple Sonics and multiple Amy's, etc. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to get some of them. Do I have the space for it? No, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Legos are always like really, really fun to build. That's one thing I've learned as like I've gotten older. I didn't grow up building Legos, but I think that around like middle school or even high school, I got like a few of them and I was just building them, and I was like, this is like really, really like nice and like therapeutic kind of thing, just like listening to a podcast or music or whatever and just like building your Lego set. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's kind of just fun to like just like see the instructions and like just kind of like build it and stuff. Like I wasn't also that big into Legos as a kid. I think I've appreciate them more now. Like I still haven't like built like a full thing. I mean I used to have Bionicles as a kid. That was cool, but yeah, I never really built like a whole Lego set, mostly because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
like I have one by me, like a Lego store, but it's like they're very expensive. But I would like to maybe get one someday. The Sonic one, like again, they're also pretty pricey. Like the Green Hill like loop challenge is like $100, but it does come with a lot of stuff. So like that's fair. You have
like this interactive thing where you can like slam on it and like Sonic will go or whatever. So I wonder how that's gonna function.
Yeah, it's a cool little like set piece looking thing as well. So definitely cool. I think I really like these like sort of Lego gaming crossover things. Like the Mario one was kind of cool, even though the Mario was a little creepy, but it was still kind of cool. So yeah, like, it's cool that Sonic is getting. I mean, he already had one, right? He already had a Lego set. So it was like when that Lego Dimensions thing was happening too. He had like a thing or something.
Yeah. I have that.
So it's still pretty cool to see that. Hopefully we get more sets. See some the other characters maybe. So yeah, we'll see. All right, so now we have some like pretty big. So a Nintendo hacker called Gary Bowser, which is really funny. That's his name. So all right, so some background. This dude was like pirating Nintendo games and like reselling like hack switches and stuff. Like that was what he was doing. And Nintendo got mad at him. He was in prison for a while because of that. And he still has to pay. He's been released from prison, but he still has to pay Nintendo $10 million. And Nintendo's going to be taking 25% of his monthly income for the rest of his life, I think.
Yeah, something like that. That's just like the way that he's going to pay this 10 mil. Because it's like, well, we know you can't just like pay for it up front. So like, we're just going to take like a certain amount of like your income, but they're not going to do it right now. I think within the interview he did, it's like 6 months from now, but that's pretty funny. Like that is like insane behavior from Nintendo to do. I mean, like I get it. He was obviously doing no things with their technology, but $10 fucking million.
That's absurd. I didn't even know a company could do that. Like what the fuck? Like, I mean, I don't even think he should have been in prison. I think it should have just been a fine, but not like that large. Jesus Christ. Like what happened? Like, yeah, that's pretty bad. So yeah, I really think that's a big overreach from Nintendo. Like, I think that's way too much, like, of a punishment. Like, I think it should have been, like, I don't know, maybe like 2 million or something. I don't know how much damages he actually caused, but probably not big enough to be 10 mil and like a bunch of his money for the rest of his life. So yeah, definitely don't agree with like this punishment Nintendo has done, but I guess don't fuck with Mario or this is what you get. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's also that other thing that Nintendo did with like that YouTuber that was doing the Zelda multiplayer hacks or whatever. They pretty much just striked all of his videos, and I was like, I have to back at it again, you know? Which is crazy because it's like, well, we can't take the mod down because it's not like he's selling the mod. So we're just going to take the videos down of him advertising it, which in the end just brought more eyes to that mod because I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like, I had no idea that like Zelda Breath of the Wild multiplayer mods were a thing until that story came out, because it was like Nintendo trying to silence him from showing that stuff, which in return just made more people aware of that mod. So, but within this case, I mean, you know, he was obviously doing some very no things, but you know, prison time, a little crazy. $10 million, even more crazy. And I guess the way that he's going to pay for it is, you know, they're going to take 25 to 30% of his monthly income, which is like child support almost in some regards.
Damn, poor Bowser. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, like, imagine marrying to that person, and then like you have to take on that debt, and then you have kids, and then the kids also have to take on that debt because he's 53 right now. Right. By the time he dies, would he have paid all that off? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Unless he's working like a baller ass job. Like, I don't know how all that money would be paid off, because this is like some insane like student loan type shit, you know? Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's definitely like really overreaching, I think, and I don't think this should be legal. But like, I get it. Like, he did no things, but like not to that degree. That's like if you murdered someone. Like, chill out, my lord.
Yeah, shit's crazy. But you know, Nintendo's back on their bullshit, rightfully so. Because they are Nintendo.
They always have those spurts where they're like, we're gonna be like insufferable assholes for a little bit, and then we stop for like a few years.
Hey, you know, that's not something for everyone watching the Mario movie, but
that's a good point. Yeah.
Moving on from there, we got PlayStation also doing some pretty questionable things. So as you guys may or may not know, some of their games are on Steam. They're sort of like PC ports, PC remasters, however you want to call it. But within certain regions, the prices have gone up, like, quietly. Like, they haven't like announced it or anything. They sort of just like went up. So like, just for example, like in Canada, the games would be like from $60 to $70. Now they're like 65 to 80, which is like insane. Like, that is a wild price tag to pay for a PC game, let alone, you know, a game that's like kind of old, and at the same time you're only buying it because it's on PC. So yeah, I think that it's weird for them to just do this quietly without them like announcing it as to like why they're doing it, because I don't really see the reason why they would need to do all this. Maybe it's like taxes from those regions or something like that, but that's my guess. I'm not sure if that's even a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just like scummy. Like, why would you do that? Like, yeah, like poor Canada. Like, they already have like pretty bad prices with like their games and stuff, and just to increase it, it's like really scummy. I think Sony should have made some announcement being like, "Hey, we're gonna like up the." I mean, I know it would have been unpopular, but if you're gonna do it anyway, then just like let people know. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely not okay. I don't agree with this at all. I feel like there should have not even been a price increase. Like, I feel like having your new game set to $70 is enough in general. So like, I don't think we need like price increases of your older games on Steam in select regions. It just feels like just trying to just like get any extra money they can, and it does like kind of leave a bad taste in my mouth. So definitely felt like they should have like let everyone know this was going to happen instead of just doing it. So yeah, I'll say just wait for any Steam sales if you want to buy any Sony games on Steam, because yeah, don't pay for these new prices, because that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. But I guess speaking of PlayStation stuff, Insomniac has reconfirmed that Spider-Man 2 for fall 2023. They're cooking.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is because of what's it called, the whole like unverified thing on Twitter. Like pretty much everyone who's not paying for Twitter Blue is losing their check marks, so they're being a lot more active on their Twitter. So they were just answering some questions related to it, and someone asked, then why haven't we seen anything for 2 years? The game is supposedly coming out in a few months, yet you have done nothing to show us anything. And the Twitter person was like, because we're in the kitchen, it smells good in there, but we just asked for a little more patience. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't blame anyone for being a little ticked off about like them not showing anything, but at the same time, you're just gonna have to trust them. Like, I think that Insomniac Games, especially if you played their other games besides Spider-Man, like, that like they put a lot of care and effort into their games. Like, they aren't out here to like release something that's like half-assed, really. Obviously, like, not every game of theirs is like 100% perfect or anything. I think that one game that was published by EA did not do so well, but
Fuse, yeah,
yeah, something like that. But besides that, for the most part, they're like original titles and things that they have like really like deep hands-on in, are pretty good. Especially recently, Spider-Man is obviously the case of that. So let them cook, let them do what they got to do. When we see it, I'm sure it'll be fucking amazing and it'll take over the internet.
Hey man, I mean, Insomniac's output has just been great the last few years. Like, they've released like way more games of good quality than like I think any other AAA developer. Like, like Spider-Man, then Miles, then Ratchet, and now we're getting Spider-Man 2, and then Wolverine, all in the span of like what, 5 something years, like or 6 years. Like, it's actually insane. The output is like crazy. With no crunch either, because like everyone that reports about Insomniac is like, oh no, they had like zero crunch. So I don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it, but they're doing a great job. Probably because the games are just smaller in scope in general. Like, they're not like, I think Spider-Man is usually like their biggest game they've made with like just being open world and stuff. Since Ratchet is more of a level based thing. But anyway, like, I think I have like full trust in Insomniac to deliver a great game. They've done it constantly, time and time again. So I have no doubt the Spider-Man 2 would be an amazing sequel, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited for that game. I can't wait to see like all the new things they introduce in it, and I'm sure we're gonna get state of play very soon about it in general. Since we all know it's coming out around fall now, so. Probably during the summer, we're going to get like a big news drop of like all the exciting things about this game. And we'll definitely talk about that when that happens. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure that if the game comes out and it ends up being complete ass, everyone's going to know about it. Like 100%. Whether the game succeeds or fails, like, this game's going to make splashes within the industry just because of how much they did with the first game, and they've been slowly building upon that and with the story and everything. So, yeah, and obviously there's like rumors out there about what the story's going to be and everything like that. And, it does seem a little sus with certain things, with like the Spider-Verse rumors and everything like that. But I think that once we see the game and that's actually confirmed, then we'll talk about it. But I'm of the opinion that they should stay away from that, because I think that this Spider-Man story really delivers on like a much grounded Spider-Man story, which is something that we really need, especially recently.
I agree. Also, I just think it would be too much. I feel like that has to be like its own thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that isn't true, but I guess we'll see when they show more information about the game.
All right. So next we got here is The Marvels. This is the first teaser trailer, the first thing we've ever seen of this movie, pretty much the Captain Marvel sequel. But we also have Miss Marvel in there, and also Captain Rambeau from WandaVision. So, a lot of things are coming together from the MCU's previous shows and movies. And yeah, I mean, this is honestly like the most fun I've had watching a MCU trailer in a very, very long time, just because of Kamala Khan. I think that she is such a fun character to introduce into this franchise, because she is as much a fan as we are. Like, her coming into the Avengers, if you will, and having all of her characters in her world sort of be within this movie, I think is going to be great. And we get to see Brie Larson actually, show, I guess, like emotion and like kind of act a little bit more, because I think that was like a huge complaint with Captain Marvel, was that like it wasn't as, I guess, like exciting or as adventurous and as important as people would have thought it would be for, a movie before Endgame kind of thing. But it looks like that this movie is delivering on a fun sort of, I guess, like gimmick to it, where it's like if one of them uses their powers, they like switch places and everything like that. So like I think that can be like a very fun sort of like gimmick to add. And once again, Miss Marvel, she is fantastic within this trailer. She honestly brings it to life.
Yeah, I agree. I think like Miss Marvel is probably gonna be the best part of it. You know, obviously we both enjoy Miss Marvel quite a bit. You know, barring like some of the issues at the end with just like the story and stuff. But you know, I feel like none of those complaints really like are with her character. I think she really sells her character as like, you know, being like a big old fanboy and stuff, you know, probably because it does, you know, portray her real life self as well, being like a big fanboy or fangirl of the of Marvel and stuff. So it really translates to her character. She's just a lot of fun to see, and it'll be cool to see her like in like a full movie now. You know, I think the other characters will also be fine. You know, I still haven't seen Captain Marvel, so I'll probably watch it before it just slips under my radar all the time. So I will have like nothing against Brie Larson or whatever. Like I know a lot of people like are weird about it. So but yeah, I'll definitely probably watch that before this happens. You know, you probably don't, but I will anyway. But yeah, it definitely looks like a fun trailer. Hopefully it's good because, you know, as we know, the MCU has been in a pretty rough state. So I don't think this is going to really move anything that forward, but I'm just hoping for a good movie. So this and Guardians, I'm hoping are like a good time. So.
Yeah, and just like going back, I guess like on the quote unquote drama of this trailer. I mean, like the fucking internet's weird sometimes.
People
it's just like
really hate her.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I'm just like, well, you know, like she's just playing Captain Marvel, you know, like kind of thing. I don't necessarily know when this, I guess, like hate for her really stemmed from. I think it's just because of like that side of the internet that's sort of like, I don't want to call it, but you know, that like incel culture, if you will. And like, if you go to the comments of this teaser trailer, it's just a bunch of like random shit. Like I don't even know what the fuck I'm reading on like half the comments. And apparently this is like the most disliked MCU trailer, which is like crazy to me because it's like this is, especially since when you look at all of the other MCU movie trailers, like they're all like kind of like serious, you know, like Ant-Man 3 was serious, Guardians is pretty serious. This one's like really fun and colorful and seems like it can be a really fun time. So
it's probably more reflective of what the actual movie is going to be like, you know what I mean? So,
hopefully. But
because Ant-Man I thought it was going to be a lot more serious than it was just because of all the trailers. So, but yeah, I think people are just weird about Brie Larson and like it just kind of translates to that. So I'm like, whatever. I think she said one thing when Captain Marvel came out where it's like something about like white guys being like too critical of like the things and everyone got triggered or something. So I think I remember that.
And then all the white guys got triggered.
So I don't know. She's good. So whatever. But yeah, hopefully it's good. That's what I hope for. All right. So anyway, so now we got Star Wars Visions Volume 2. So they already like announced this a bit ago, and we already knew it was going to be not just anime studios, it's going to be animation studios from across the world. And it looks great. You know, it's going for that same sort of anthology type thing where there's a bunch of different stories from different animations teams, and we see a lot of those art styles, and a lot of them look really good. You know, you have like really stylized CG stuff. Of course, you have like an anime looking one. You have more Western looking ones. You have like one that looks like Wallace and Gromit. Like, you know, there's a lot of like really cool art styles here. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like, I really liked the first Star Wars Visions a lot, but I feel like this sort of like drastic change in animation styles is going to make it feel even more varied and stuff. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this. Obviously not all of them are going to be hitters like we talked about last time. Anthology series are just like that, but I still love the idea of it. So hopefully these could all hit the mark. Probably not, but at least they'll be pretty to look at. So
yeah, I just hope that we come away from Star Wars Visions once again with like a handful of stories that are like really cool in concept, and maybe they could expand upon it within future projects or whatever. So and for them to bring in other animation studios, not just sort of like 2D animations, I think that is like a very, very nice touch as well, just to like differentiate it from the first volume of Star Wars Visions. So yeah, you know, hopefully we get a nice handful of good stories once again. I think if most of them are pretty bad, then they'll be pretty bad. It is what it is. But you know, we can only hope for the best. But yeah, a lot of these do look pretty cool, and it is coming out on May the 4th. You know, very, very fitting, which is only a few weeks from now. So
yep, 2 weeks from now. So gonna be very exciting. I think it came out May 4th last time too. So
it might have. I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but it sounded right. So I'm just gonna say that.
Moving on from there, we got HBO Max turning into just Max, which is going to be great for Google searches. Not really.
Yep.
But also, they're changing the prices starting May 23rd. So they're going to have a ad tier for $9.99 per month. There's going to be an ad-free tier, which is $15.99 per month. And then the unlimited ad-free $19.99 per month. So pretty much, if you want 2 streams, you go with the $15.99 per month, which I feel like most households would need just 2 streams. But if you want like the 4K DVR, Dolby Atmos audio, 4 streams going on at once, you're going to go for the $19.99 sort of tier, which might be good if you're only using HBO Max as like your only streaming service. That's the only way I could really see anyone really buying this. Or if you really want that 4K HDR kind of visuals. In my opinion, like I use HBO Max, but I don't really watch it on my 4K TV. You know, that probably sounds like a crime for some people, but because I Discord stream it to my girlfriend, and that's the way that we sort of watch shows a lot of the time is, you know, being on PC or whatever. So 2 streams I think is completely fine for $15.99 a month. That's sort of like what the tier is now for like everything with like the 4K and all that shit. So they're pretty much just bumping it up $4 or $5, whatever the fuck it is. You know, it is a little crazy when you really look at it, but I think that them changing the prices the way they are, it's not as crazy as like Netflix has been doing it for like years and years.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a price are they like bumping up the prices? Like how I don't know how much of a bump up that is.
Yeah, because right now me and my brother, we split between the $15.99, and that includes like the 4K and everything. But they're just like cutting that out and just like moving it into like a separate, more premium tier, which is like, you know, whatever. It's a little scummy, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, no one's gonna pay for that realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I watch all my shit on my computer as well. So like, I like never use my TV for like any shows. I like use that just for games. So yeah, now I think about it, maybe I should use my TV for actual shows. I don't know. I just always watch it on my computer. I don't know. So yeah, not really a big loss for me, but I can see how that could be really scummy for a lot of other people. But I guess they needed money because HBO Max wasn't doing too well. Even though they had good shit, like, you know, I think HBO Max has a lot of good shit, but yeah, I guess it just wasn't making enough. So again, the streaming wars is really annoying, and we're just all caught in it. All right, well, speaking of HBO Max, The Penguin is in production, so we got like a teaser of it, and yeah, it looks really good. It looks more of like the tone of the Batman as I guess we're used to now. You know, it goes through the Penguin stuff, being like doing all his like mobster stuff, and yeah, it's gonna be cool to see it sort of continue this sort of era of Batman. You know, I'm interested to see where the series goes on, like from here, because I really liked the first one. So I'm just wondering how they're gonna connect things like nice and smoothly. Hopefully it doesn't feel like a mess like the DCU or anything, but I don't think so, because this is like just one superhero and like, you know, just the Batman stuff. So hopefully the Penguin could sort of like, you know, make it more cohesion and stuff. So I just don't want a mess of like spin-offs and sequels and stuff, you know. I do want it to be pretty linear, so hopefully they don't do that many shows, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Matt Reeves is obviously very well equipped to take on this because he obviously did a pretty good job with the Batman. And I think that making the Penguin sort of like a mobster, sort of psycho in some ways, you know, I think that can be a lot of fun. And this sort of being like a in-production teaser, by the way, you know, it's in production. So you're going to see the camera crew and shit. I don't know who said it, but someone on Twitter was like, oh, they forgot to edit out the camera people here. And I was like, the fuck did you read? Like what kind of teaser this is? Anyways, so obviously you know, the tone and everything is obviously matching what Matt Reeves has sort of built up before, so I'm glad to see that that's still there. But yeah, you know, I don't think I really know much about the Penguin outside of what we've seen within the previous movie and within the games, etc. So I cannot wait to go and see what this iteration of the Penguin has to offer, because I think that he was a pretty interesting character, not the main villain from the movie, but you know, he was a side villain, and I think that he did a pretty good job in being that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he did a good job being like a side villain and to make way for like, you know, the actual villain of the movie. So it'll be cool to see him in more stuff. I mean, I thought his scenes were pretty funny as well. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see more of him and just seeing how it ties in. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see, like, you know, there's no Batman in this probably, so it's gonna be pretty interesting to see. Like, it's basically just gonna be like a mobster show. So we'll see how Batman fans feel about that in particular, because it's gonna be like, yeah, it's not really about Batman, and you're not gonna see any superhero stuff really. At least I don't think so. So yeah, I guess we'll see how it turns out. It's just gonna be like Sopranos, but like Penguin. So this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, as long as the story is good, I'm sure most people will tune in.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Harry Potter series is officially in the works at Max. It's going to be a 10-year-long journey, each season covering a book.
Jesus
and
Christ.
J.K. Rowling will be executive producer. So I think that that's sort of like where some people may just be like, nope, she's a part of it, I'm not going to watch it. And that's a fair opinion and a fair statement to have. I think that them sort of redoing the whole Harry Potter legacy for like new audiences is kind of, you know, once again, just like what we said last time, the movies are timeless. Like, just watching those movies, even if you have problems with them, even if they don't go into the books, you know, for page, word for word kind of thing, those movies are timeless because of the actors and sort of like the crew and sort of like the charm of those movies, of what they have, you know, because, you know, the first movie was in like 2002 or some shit, and then it ended in like the early 2010s or whatever. So, you know, you're seeing the progression of all of these kids and all of these, you know, CGI effects and everything like that. So, like, to have this brand new series just off the jump be like fucking stellar and like really, really pretty and everything, I don't know. It's going to lose that charm for me personally. And also, like, whoever's going to be casted for these kids and like these characters, it's going to be a pretty like high task to really deliver, because obviously when, you know, the original cast came on, there was no expectations for them to, you know, really like, I guess, like perform, other than to know that like Harry Potter is like a really, really big book series. But now it's like a multi-billion-dollar fucking franchise, and it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna be Harry Potter. I hope I could do this, you know, kind of thing. Like, there has to be a immense amount of pressure for the cast and crew to like really nail this, and I think that it can get to some people, I think. So
yeah, and mostly when, like, I'm assuming it's gonna be the same actors for all 10 years or something. Like,
yeah,
do they want to do that same thing when they grow up with the series? Like, I feel like that's like a big, like, I don't know, I feel like you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice here. And I feel like it's just not going to be as good as the original because of that. Especially if, like, oh, this Harry sucks. And, like, oh, you kind of stuck with him for the rest of the 10-year journey here. So, like, yeah, I definitely don't think it's going to have that same impact, you know, that the original series once did. Like, I think it was better if they just sort of moved on and maybe make a new Hogwarts type deal. If they really want to keep continuing this. Like, I know Fantastic Beasts exists, but no one liked that. So maybe try writing another original thing for like a TV show adaptation or something. But yeah, just redoing the books again. I don't know. Like you said, I feel like it's going to lose a lot of magic. And, you know, people are nostalgic for their Harry Potter. You know, I mean, there's still people like that with Spider-Man, right? There's still people like, I've only seen Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and that's it. Like, you know, people are still like that. So I'm sure it's going to be even worse for this when there was like a billion sequels. So, yeah, I definitely don't know how they're going to do this or if it's going to be any good at all. But I guess we'll see. Like, I mean, even the Lord of the Rings thing did that, where it was like it was own original thing, but even that didn't do so well. So, yeah, I don't know. I think people are always going to be really latched onto the original one of how they see this series, and sometimes it's just hard to make a new thing about it. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy did well, but I feel like that's different because there wasn't like a good AAA Harry Potter game ever, so I feel like it had more of a like a hook there. But for this, I feel like, well, I could just watch the movies and they wouldn't be wrong. So yeah. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I wish them luck.
Yeah, tall task.
All right, next we got Godzilla X Kong, the new empire. So it looks like Godzilla and Kong are together now. No, I'm just kidding. But but yeah, it looks like this is a small teaser trailer. We got like this new monkey. He's like an orangutan, and like Kong and Godzilla are dead apparently, and that's it. That's all we got. I mean, I really like the new Godzilla series. I think they're a lot of fun. Like the 2014 movie was okay. I thought the one after that, I forgot what it was called. I really enjoyed that movie. I know critics didn't like it, but they're wrong because it was fun. Like we got like Mecha Godzilla and like King Ghidorah and shit, and like I don't know. it was cool. Actually, I'm thinking of the wrong one. That was Godzilla. There was a lot of them, but either way, they're all good. I think they're dumb, stupid fun, and I think that's what Godzilla is always supposed to be about to begin with. So this movie seems to be getting more into the lore of like the weird like Hollow Earth bullshit that we're setting up or whatever. So that's cool. I just want to see more like monsters fighting each other, and that's basically what I signed up for. So I'm pretty excited for it, and I can see it in theaters. I wasn't able to watch the other one in theaters because COVID was happening, and that made me so sad because those movies are so great in theaters. So I would definitely be watching this in theaters, and I'm just really excited for it. I like my dumb Godzilla movies.
Yeah, I mean, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which was the 2019 film. I saw that in theaters. I thought it was a fun time, I don't know much about Godzilla as you do, but, just seeing that in theaters and, I was like, oh, like Millie Bobby Brown's in it. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty much like the extent of like the actors that I really knew in that film as like their main roles. But yeah, it was a fun film. And then Godzilla versus Kong. I'm not sure if I saw that. I know it's on HBO Max. I'm not sure if I've seen it. Actually, I think I did because the fucking kid from Deadpool's in it. So I think I did. Yeah. But Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, it's a pretty hard name. Pretty cool.
Goes hard.
We are a year's way out from this movie, so hopefully it is able to deliver within upcoming trailers and obviously when the movie drops. So
yeah, I'm excited for it. I fucking love Godzilla. So I'm happy the series isn't like dead.
They're always just fun, turn off your brain movies and just watching, big CG monsters.
I love it.
Next piece of news we got here is surprisingly, the Spider-Man movies are now coming to Disney Plus in the US. They are now on Disney Plus because I watched The Amazing Spider-Man 1 this morning because I was just doing some random bullshit and I just had it in the background. But anyways, the other films include the Sam Raimi trilogy and Venom along with Spider-Man Homecoming. So we don't have exactly everything on there. We're still missing No Way Home and also Far From Home. So
Amazing Spider-Man 2, right?
And also Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I try to forget about that one. But yeah, to anyone that hasn't watched those or wants to rewatch them, sure, fucking go for it. The only reason I rewatched Amazing Spider-Man was because, just to like let Disney Plus know, hey, like a little analytic, just like a +1 view, goes up on there. So, but yeah, I mean, people really did love what No Way Home did with bringing back Andrew and Toby. So to see these movies on there is pretty cool, especially because it's a huge like convenience thing for a lot of people. Like they don't want to pop in a Blu-ray or whatever. I sometimes I feel like that too, where I'm like, what, I want to watch this, but like I don't want to watch it on my TV. What, fuck it, I'll just put it on my monitor here and just like have it play and just like have it in the background. So just like a nice opportunity to watch it for the first time or rewatch it, whatever the case is. So
I think it's just great they're all gonna be in one thing. Obviously we're still missing some movies, but I think it's great to just have the Sam Raimi stuff. Amazing Spider-Man Homecoming and Venom. Venom is there too if you want to watch that, I guess. I think that's great. Sometimes you get like a hankering for like, I want to watch some Sam Raimi Spider-Man because why not? So it's cool to have it in like an accessible place, which is nice. But hopefully they bring back the other ones. Like you said, thank you for helping the analytics there. Hopefully they do bring in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Even though it sucks, it's still nice to just have it there so you can see how much it sucks. We watched it in theater, so we're very aware how much it sucked.
Yeah, we did see it in theaters.
Hopefully they bring in the other ones, but very good time for Spider-Man. All the Spider-Man stuff this year has been really nice. All right, so we got an update on Jonathan Majors. Looks like things are worse here. So now my opinion could be more like a little negative. So it looks like more women have been coming out for abuse and stuff to Jonathan Majors. His management and PR sort of companies have dropped him. So like they are no longer working with him. And Disney themselves, they already like paid him, I think, for Secret War, right? Yeah, $20 million payday includes back-end compensation. Oh no, he was signed in already, obviously, for Secret Wars, which is supposed to come out in 2026. But Disney is monitoring the situation and has time to move like forward. So like, they can still like sort of like do stuff about it. Yeah. So basically, I think he's gonna be gone in a little bit as more people are coming out about him. As we talked about in the last podcast, I can't remember. But we've already had the situation situation where people on Twitter were already talking about him being like, yes, this guy's always been kind of a weird psychopath and stuff, and he's always had a history of abusing people. But it was, like we said before, it was like, it was more like just Twitter stuff. Like, I didn't want to say anything outright just because we didn't know too much yet. But it looks like a lot of those complaints are becoming a lot more serious now, and more people are coming out against him. And it seems like he just has a history of being like a weird, like aggressive, like guy. So with that, it looks like his like, his management and PR just don't want to deal with it because it looks like a disaster waiting to happen. So I really don't see him lasting much longer in the MCU either. Like I it wouldn't surprise me by the end of this year or maybe like sooner. We just see him get dropped off the MCU and someone else replaces him as Kang. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's already been dropped in, like, several other projects and several other, like, ad campaigns. Like, I will never forget when he was in, like, that Army ad that I saw. I was like, what the fuck is he in this? But he got dropped in that. So, and, yeah, I mean, if he were to be in the Avengers movie, he would make 20 mil. But in the case that he doesn't, he's going to lose all that, obviously. So... yeah, I mean, like, people have said this time and time again on Twitter where it was like, this is like the biggest bag fumbler they've ever seen because this is like fucking crazy because it's like, he had all of these good performances and all of these like pretty much stand out. Like, like he's the reason why a lot of people like Ant-Man 3 and why a lot of people like Creed 3 as well. Like, he was the actor within those movies to be like, yeah, like he's him kind of thing. But now, with all of these allegations, not to like discredit his performance because obviously like, he did do well in those movies, but he's not a good guy. And I think that is like a huge, like sort of like, what's it called? Ethics thing where it's like, okay, yeah, like he's a very good actor, but do we want him attached to this film? Cause like some people may not see it. Fuck it. Some people may not want to work with them on set if that is the case, like imagine if Disney/Marvel was like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna keep him on, and then like people that are supposed to work on these movies with him are like, no, I'm not, no, and then you have another problem there. So I'm sure that within the coming days or months or whatever, how long this takes, as long as those people who have come forward, which claps to them because that is something that is very, very hard to do. I recognize that, so props to them. And if their stories do hold up and there's enough evidence to back up and sort of like prosecute him and everything like that, like he's not going to get these roles and he may have some jail time attached to it. So, yeah, crazy situation, all things considered. And yeah, do I hope that he sort of suffers for it? In some regards, yes, because it does seem like that there's way too many heads to count when it comes to this situation where it's like a lot of people have come forward after that sort of initial news of him being arrested. So, yeah, it does seem like that his past is coming back to bite him.
Yeah, it basically just shows like don't be an asshole. Like don't be like this weird aggressive guy about stuff, then you could do well. Because I mean, he had like such a good future ahead of him too. Like, he was doing great. He had like big roles, he was in like the biggest series ever, which is the MCU, as like one of the leading characters with as the villain and stuff. And then he just fumbled it so bad because he was just an asshole his whole life and stuff, and that's what happens. So luckily he didn't went further in his career because I feel like it would have been harder to like sort of bring him down if that was the case. There's a lot of people in really high positions of power or well-respected actors that are also assholes, but like again, the more their stuff didn't come out till later and it's harder to bring them down. Like this guy, he just started, so it's like, nah, let's bring you down before your issues. So that seems to be what's happening. So yeah, honestly, like if he did all these things, which it looks like he did, then yeah, he definitely deserves to just be not in the MCU and not really be anywhere at this point. So yeah. Yeah,
and within some regards, him doing the most recent act of him, I guess, like putting his hands on this person, and then them arresting him was enough for other people to really come forward and be like, you know what? Yeah, like I also have a story about him. X, Y, and Z happened, whatever. So, I mean, if he didn't injure this person, who knows what would have happened in the future? We may not even be talking about this right now if that arrest didn't even happen initially. So, crazy things, he really is the downfall of his own career. So,
yep. Just, again, don't be a dickhead, and none of this might have happened.
Crazy stuff. All right, so now let's get into Mandalorian season 3, episodes 7 and 8, and we're just going to talk about the season as a whole as well. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about the Mario movie, including spoilers for that one as well. So first up, Mandalorian season 3. I don't know how they fucking did it, but they managed to turn around the season in some regards.
Really did. I think they did. Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, what was this?
Yeah, in some regards, they managed to turn the whole series around and sort of make it good. I mean, like, episode 7 was really engaging just because, you know, we get to see Moff Gideon and sort of like what he was doing and sort of how that plays into the Mandalorians and what he's trying to do and everything like that. And then episode 8 was sort of like the big large finale with everything, and we got some pretty cool duels and some pretty cool fights, and you know, everyone got to play their part in some regard. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's just crazy. It's kind of weird that they were able to turn it around so fast, especially since because the first 3/4 of this season, people were just shitting on it, including us.
Yeah. Like, I was really disappointed in this season for a while. Like, I had some good stuff in there. Like, I think anything with, like, Mando or, like, Bo-Katan was, like, pretty good. But a lot of the other things were just kind of, like, felt like filler. And I know Mandalorian has always had filler, but this felt, like, really fillery or, like, not important or, like, why are we doing this? So, yeah, I just wasn't, like, that into it, which was, like, sad because I really like Mandalorian. But these last 2 episodes really helped saved it to be like, oh, wait, yeah, it is really good. Look at all this. So, again, I still think they fumbled being like they should have had a lot of plot points, not in Boba Fett and in this one. But if they want to like sort of accelerate the plot a little more, like we see in these 2 episodes being like they have Mandalorian now, and like Mando like basically retires. Well, not retires, but like he's just kind of like having his family life now. Maybe we'll get a time skip in the future or something. Like maybe they do want to accelerate it to like sort of get to like a later point or something. But I still think they ended it pretty well. I think we got all the things we wanted to in these episodes, and yeah, they were just really good. You know, like I think Moff Gideon coming back. I felt like he should have had a presence more throughout the season. Like they should have shown him escaping from prison or whatever. They should have shown him sort of like building up his army because he's an engaging character. You know, like Moff Gideon is a fun character. So I felt like only seeing him for the last 2 episodes did feel kind of weird. But again, even in these last 2 episodes, he was great. You know, he's so evil, like I don't know, he's just so lovably evil that I'm like, yeah, I love this guy. So yeah, it's great.
That actor is a fucking menace in every role he plays.
Yeah, he
like,
is.
It is actually crazy.
Gus.
But excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I think that this episode 7, especially with the whole thing of them like going to Mandalore, then Moff Gideon kind of like baiting them and sort of like, "Ha, you're trapped in here." Then captured Mando, and then you got like that cool scene with like the one guy sort of like sacrificing himself. I thought that was like a pretty cool segment, especially since because like before then it was like him versus the other guy and sort of like the 2 factions sort of battling it out. Obviously that was like bound to happen within this like Mandalorian group because, you know, they do walk 2 different ways of life in some aspects. So to see that sort of like actually, you know, finally explode into like that little, you know, fight sequence and then having him sort of sacrifice himself, I was like, oh, okay, like that's kind of like poetic in a way.
Yeah, I really like all the Mandalorian sort of like lore, I guess, like, you know, having all the different factions and them coming together and like, you know, realizing that they won't get anywhere, you know, by just like keep butting heads and stuff was nice. You know, I think Grogu has some really good scenes with his dumb robot suit. I think it's like no. I love his like pressing the button. I think the fight scenes were great. Like I love that like John Wick ass fucking fight in like the that little hallway Mando was in. I think it was in episode 8 when he was escaping, when he kept lowering the force fields and shit, and like he kept fighting rows and rows of people. That was super fun. That was a great fight scene. So yeah, I think a lot of the fight scenes were really good. Honestly, if there's one thing I think a lot of Star Wars shows do, even if they do end up kind of mid or whatever, I do think the finales are usually pretty fun. Like there's a lot of action and I do enjoy them. Even like Boba Fett, like, I thought the ending was like, there's a lot of cool fight scenes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this was fun to watch at least. So I think Mando season 3 also did that really well. And yeah, and then, you know, in the end, it just like had like a pretty happy ending. Like it was like a really, it makes me like wondering like what the fuck they're gonna do next, because you know Bo-Katan has Mandalore now, like they united all the Mandalorians, well not all of them, but like, you know, slowly more of the Mandalorians are gonna come back to Mandalore and like sort of like reclaim their planet. You know, Din is like, he goes back to that planet to just settle down with Grogu. You know, he's officially his apprentice now, and they're just like sort of like living it up now. You know, they just have a nice little family situation there. And it really does make me wonder if we are gonna get like a time skip or something. Like, I don't know, are they gonna like age up Grogu or something? Like, it really makes me wonder, because I don't know how you're gonna do a season 4, because this has ended so well. Like, Moff Gideon is. Okay, he might not be dead, but like for now he's dead. He did have this thing where he had clones and he wants to make a force-sensitive clone, and I feel like that's definitely going to be a thing that comes back. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they move on from here, because it seems like a lot of plot points have ended, and I don't really see any way they can move on besides, like, I guess moving on to a different character or something. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, the whole Moff Gideon clones thing was a little crazy. I was like, yeah, what the fuck is happening here? Like, this shit is crazy. But the fact that he was trying to make one of them like force sensitive was like very, very evil. I was like, yes, that's what you're trying to do. Genius.
I just like how... I just like how Moff Gideon is such a fucking like Jedi weeb, like Mandalorian weeb, but it's like, I am a Mandalorian. Like, he wants to be force sensitive too. Like, this dude just wants to be the most OP guy ever. And it's very funny. Even his like edgy ass like Mandalorian armor was really funny. So definitely really cool. Also, they had like those Imperial guards. Weren't they from like the sequels? Like, I don't even remember.
Yes, yeah, that was like really, really cool to see them back, just because like I think that in some regards, you know, like certain things about these 2 episodes are sort of building up to like what happened within the sequels to like give them more context. For example, like the Moff Gideon like clone stuff. Yeah. You know, because like Snoke was like a clone or whatever the fuck, or like Palpatine or that. I don't know what the fuck was going on within those movies in particular. But you know, they're sort of like alluding to some elements in there. And yeah, I mean, I just like that they're sort of like sprinkling in that stuff too. The whole Bo-Katan fight with Moff Gideon I thought was really, really cool, because I think that was like a pivotal thing, because, you know, within the lore, you know, it's kind of like she surrendered beforehand and then they lost the whole planet, but now, you know, this like the rematch, and obviously she didn't do it alone, because like I think Mando said, you know, they aren't the Mandalorians alone, sort of like a together kind of thing, which I think is very, very cool. Which, like, if that's what they were going to do the whole season, they should have made it a little bit more clear. They should have had Moff Gideon, you know, like alluding within the background, you know, doing some other stuff off screen, you know, was not it. I think that showing to the audience of like what's going on the other side of the galaxy, if you will, would have been a nice thing to have.
Yeah, honestly, the more I think about this season, I'm like, why did we have that whole episode with those 2 people? Like, it should have been Moff Gideon. Yeah. We should have had a whole episode of Moff Gideon. That would have been way more entertaining than those 2 people that didn't matter at the end. Like, this lady, all she did was like tell information to Moff Gideon, and that's it. She wouldn't even like really show up anywhere else. And the doctor guy, I didn't even know why they did that to him so bad. I guess it's to get his cloning tech, but didn't they already have his cloning technology? I don't know. It was weird, but either way, I think these 2 episodes did a great job, you know, making season 3 feel a lot better like than it was, because I was pretty like it's okay. But the last 2 episodes I think really made me like, yeah, it was pretty good. You know, I really, really enjoyed the ending. It was really cool seeing Grogu sort of like fight more, like,
yeah, you know, like do stuff.
Yeah, he's like force jumping, and he was able to do like his cool force things. It's really cool that he doesn't really use the force aggressively either. Like, he uses it more defensively. So that's kind of, you know, Jedi way type deal. You know, he's not like force choking people or anything. Like, he is using it like he's using it like really defensively, which, you know, fits like his Jedi ways or whatever. So, you know, having him like protect Mando and Bo-Katan at the end was really cute. So, yeah, honestly, I just really liked how it ended. I thought it was really cute. You know, I it's kind of weird. Mando kind of just like didn't stay in Mandalore to help. I know the armorer lady was like, you know, go do your own thing. He's like, okay, but it was still kind of weird that he didn't even say like bye to Bo-Katan or anything. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're just gonna leave. So yeah. But yeah, besides that, I think the season was great. Obviously the teasing things for like the mythosaur or whatever, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Maybe Grogu's gonna be like the Mandalorian. He's like, because the original Mandalorian was like force sensitive too, and he had the dark saber, and maybe they're doing something with that. I don't fucking know. But either way, it's gonna be cool to see what happens next in the series, because this feels like a really good, like, oh, it just ended. So like, oh, okay, yeah. I guess I feel like pretty satisfied with it, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, definitely this ending was a lot happier than I think a lot of people expected it. You know,
Yeah.
him officially adopting Grogu as his son was pretty cute. I think that was something that a lot of people, you know, obviously they already had that sort of vibe from season 1 off the jump, where it's, you know, like father and son kind of ordeal, and you see that grow stronger and stronger with each season, especially within this one, where it's like, you know, Mando, you know, the moment Grogu, you know, was on his own, he's like, no, wait, you know, he kind of just like throws himself towards him and, you know, sort of forgets about his own well-being. So yeah, you know, just seeing that all sort of wrap up in a nice bow in a nice way, you know, whatever they do next, I don't know, because I don't even know what the fuck they're doing with Mandalorian anymore. I hope that it's just good in the end, because, you know, they said that this shit's supposed to go on for like multiple seasons, and I'm wondering how long that can really last, because, you know, I think that the show works best when there's like a really good coherent story of what's going on. You know, those like off episodes with like the one thing or whatever, you know, like it's like a side plot or like a side quest or whatever, you know, like those are fun and cute, you know, they're neat, but they don't necessarily have a lasting impression. I mean, I guess some of them do. I still remember one episode within Mandalorian where it was like that ice episode where like the ship crashed and they were stuck on like that ice planet for a bit.
Yeah.
But like other than that, most of them are kind of forgettable. I guess I'll remember the Lizzo and Jack Black episode because they're in it. But other than that, you know, I guess I'm kind of disproving my point in some regards. But anyways, you know, I just hope that whatever they do with Mandalorian in the future, that it doesn't start off as bad as this one did.
I agree. Mostly because I don't know, that they don't really have a lot of plot points left. So like, I do wonder how they're gonna, you know, they reclaim Mandalore, they stop Moff Gideon, Mando adopted Grogu. Like, I don't really know what else they can really do. So they kind of ended everything in this season, and I think could have been done a lot better. But I think overall it did salvage itself in the end, and I do like really enjoyed how it ended. So I guess we'll see what happens next. Like, I don't know if it's gonna, like, I don't know if Mando is just done now, like, or if we're gonna see Grogu grow up. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be interesting. So I guess we'll see next time, whenever that next trailer comes out, which will be pretty exciting.
All right, so now let's talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie. Damian finally watched it.
I
We're going to
did.
tell all spoilers about it. If you haven't seen it yet, well, it's probably still in theaters by the time you're listening to us. But yeah, so the Mario movie, Damian, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I like really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun time. I do agree with a lot of people where I think the pacing was really, really fast and like they go through scenes really quickly. But I think overall it was a really fun, like, just roller coaster of a movie. Like, that's basically what it feels like. It feels like a ride. Like, you go through this like Nintendo themed ride. You see all the references, you know, you see all the cool like animation and stuff, and then you're like off it really quick. So yeah, but like, I don't know how much enjoyable this would be if you're not a Mario fan, because I was also doing the Wojak thing where I'm like, oh my god, look, it's the reference. Like, look at that. I'm like, whoa. Also, it's been like a very long time since I've seen like a family animated movie in theaters, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of families and kids here. I don't know why. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. So, but anyway, yeah, I thought all the references and stuff were really cute. I really enjoyed a lot of the musical stuff as well. You know, they put it from all the Mario stuff. Like, I thought it was just gonna take it from, you know, the older Marios, because that's more recognizable. But yeah, things from like Bowser's Fury and shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like that's really cool. Like, even at the end when Gusty Garden played from Galaxy, I'm like, oh, my heart. Like that I'm like, that was so good. That was like the last song they played too. I'm like, you fucking know it, dude. The Gusty Garden is great. So I honestly think that adds a lot to the movie, which I didn't think would add a lot, but it really did. Like, now I know why people want original Sonic music in the Sonic movies, because I'm like, yeah, it does add a lot. It feels a lot more authentic, and like, I'm not saying they didn't care about the Sonic movie, but I do feel like it does, like yeah, this is Sonic. Like, if I don't hear Live and Learn in Sonic 3, I'm gonna riot. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, they have to play Live and Learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall I think it was really fun, really basic. Like, you know, it's just like a simple Mario plot, you know, just save, instead of saving Peach, just save Luigi. But I think it got the job done. I think Illumination and Nintendo wanted to play it safe and not go too crazy with it, because, you know, it's like they invested a lot of money into this, and the other Mario movie did so bad in like the 90s or 80s that they're like, okay, let's just play it safe. You know, we add a lot of references and stuff, but the plot is pretty simple. And yeah, I think it just made for a really fun movie, you know? So that's kind of how I feel about it.
I definitely think that it could have been paced a little bit better, but you know, it's for kids. You know, I can't complain about the movie too much. But then again, you know, those are valid complaints at the end of the day. You know, if you are looking for something a little more not necessarily serious, but a little more coherent in terms of like a story, because, you are jumped right into it where it's like Mario and Luigi are just, small time plumbers, which I really did like. I think that was like an element of the movie that I think we didn't really know about going into it, where it was like they were like in the real world as like
in Brooklyn,
yeah, in fucking Brooklyn, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then they get isekai'd into the fucking Mushroom Kingdom and everything, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's how they're doing it. And yeah, I think it worked. I think that honestly really, really worked. It does suck that Luigi's character sort of gets shafted to the side because he's captured for most of it, but that's just sort of like how it worked out. But I think that obviously like the main stars of the show are Mario and Peach and stuff like that, and I think Chris Pratt's performance was not as bad as a lot of people were really giving him credit for within those trailers. Like I said, Damian, they gave him the worst fucking like cuts in those trailers, and then when you watch the movie, it's like, wait, he's like actually not that bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he did a pretty good job as Mario. Like, we didn't get no Mushroom Kingdom here. We didn't get that. like honestly, Chris Pratt did a pretty good job as Mario. I think everyone did pretty good. Like, I really like Charlie Day as Luigi, and that's why I kind of wish we got more Luigi, because I honestly think Luigi's and Mario's interactions are like super cute, and I really did enjoy it. Like, they really did care for each other as brothers. I'm like, that's cute. And I just love Charlie Day in general, so it would have been nice to hear more of him. Jack Black as Bowser is probably my favorite. Like, I think for everyone, it's like Jack Black as Bowser is like probably the best. I think Bowser's always really easy to write because he's just so fun. Like, he's like, scary turtle man, but he's also like a simp and shit. So it's always fun to like see Bowser in other things, because in the Mario RPGs he's also great. So it's good to see him get translated so well in this movie. I know Peach is like divisive, but I don't know. I liked Peach in this. Like, I think it was nice for her to have like a character, because in the game, even in the RPGs, like she has some sassiness to her, but she's still not great. Like, she's never like my favorite character at all. This movie, she's like girl boss and stuff, but like I think it works out a lot better. Like, I did like Peach a lot in this movie. Like, she doesn't like really like I guess bring down Mario. I guess like she just kind of like, hey, like, I'm gonna help you out, and there you go. So
she's trying to be his guide for the Mushroom Kingdom and everything.
Yeah, and I think that works out pretty well. But yeah, and like everyone else, who am I missing? Toad was good. I think he was good. Seth Rogen was just Seth Rogen, and like, that's kind of like what he said he was gonna do. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. We did get the Seth Rogen laugh, which is great.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, that's all I really cared about. I really did pog when he did that. So. But yeah, I think all the cast did a good job. I think we were all cynical when they did that casting list. Like, what the fuck is this? But I really think Nintendo and Illumination did as good as they did, or like casting these people and be like, hey, just have fun, do whatever. And I think it turned out really good. I really did enjoy all the performances in this movie.
Yeah, it like surprisingly worked really, really well. And just going back on, I guess, like the music point that you were doing, like honestly, for me personally, like when it comes to Mario music, I'm not like super like keen. Like if you play a Mario soundtrack song, I won't fucking know it. Like, unless it's like obviously like the original song, like I don't know shit. So like, when you and Kofi were like, oh my God, man, the fucking music, I was like, yeah, man, I don't fucking know what was going on.
Like, I think the Mario music is really good. Like, it does bop a lot. And I'm just a nerd that knows where they all come from. So I'm like, oh, that's from this and that. Yeah,
so like, hopefully within the Sonic movie that they actually do pull in some of those, Crush 40 songs or whatever. What do you think about like the licensing music that they use? Because I thought that they fit decently well.
Yeah, I didn't mind them. I know people are really weird about that stuff where it's like, it's like automatically ruins anything. I don't think they ruined anything. Apparently there was like when not Funky Kong was taking Mario and Peach to see the Cranky Kong and they play Take On Me. Apparently it was supposed to be an original song there. Like, it was supposed to be like a remix of Donkey Kong Country songs. I think that should have been there because they've already made the song. You might as well have it there. But all the other licensed songs don't bother me that much. I'm like, it was fine. Like, it didn't like make me like, oh, I hate this or whatever. Like, I know some people get really angry about it, but no, I think most of them fit pretty all right. I didn't mind them at all. I'm not gonna feel like a hissy fit about them, and I think Illumination is just like, we have to have a certain amount of licensed songs, so you're gonna just take it. So
yeah, I think it's just a thing for like, I guess like normie parents or whatever that don't really know much about Mario to be like, oh, like I know this song, so they can like get into like the scene or whatever. So what else do I want to talk about? I mean, I think that the animation for the movie, sort of like the squash and stretch kind of thing that they were doing, I thought that worked pretty well. But yeah.
I think the animation in general was fantastic. Like, it looked great. Everything was super vibrant. Everything looked really on model for like Mario stuff. Like, I was like happy to see like a hideous looking Mario enemy that doesn't look nothing like a Mario enemy, but no, they all looked super like on point. Like the Shy Guys are like Shy Guys, Koopas are like Koopas and shit. I'm like, damn, they did a great job just translating all the enemies and characters into this movie, which is surprising. Like, like obviously in the Mario movie from like the 80s, like the horrible looking ass Goombas. like, I'm like, what is that? That's not a Goomba. So I'm happy that this movie really did a good job like translating all of the all like the power ups and enemies and stuff. Like, it really looked like from the Mario movie. They did a great job. Even when they were building like the fucking Mario Karts, like they had like the menu. Like, I'm like, that's really cool. So yeah, you could tell this was made with like a lot of love to the source material, and I think that's what really carries it in the end. Again, I think the biggest issues is the plot is very simple, just like a Mario game. So I don't really mind it that much, but I know for some people it's like a little too shallow for some. But I don't know. I think just saving Luigi, I think that's a fine enough plot point because it's fucking Mario. And but yeah, I do agree the pacing is a little weird. Like, they bring up a lot of things as sequel bait. Like Peach brings up like her weird origin story where she gets isekai'd as a baby. Like Mario has like daddy issues. Same thing with DK. He has daddy issues too. Like they bring up a lot of stuff. They just don't really expand on it, I guess, because they're just hoping for sequels and stuff. So yeah, that stuff comes off as a little weird, and a lot of really good like emotional, I guess not emotional moments, but like more like character moments feel like they're really cut short. Again, with the Mario and Luigi stuff, feels like it could be a little longer. Or Mario and Peach having their moment in the fire flower field thing was really nice, but I feel like it could have been a little longer. But yeah, and it comes with the thing where it's like, oh, kids movies should just be for kids or whatever, and I guess that's fair to an extent. But then you have things like Spider-Verse, which is also a kids movie, but it's also like very like fucking good. So I'm like, I don't see why all kids movies don't, they could be a little deeper than they let on. I mean, I even hear about that with the Puss in Boots movie, like the new one. Like I hear like it's a lot more, serious and stuff for like, it's for kids, but it could also be for like everyone, and it's still like a really good movie. So hopefully the Mario movie sequels could like fix that. But overall, I think it was really good. I really enjoyed myself. So yeah.
Yeah, I think this movie itself, for what it was, it definitely played it safe. I think that coming out of it, from the one and only time that I watched it in theaters, I definitely wanted to go rewatch it, but I was like, I'll just wait for it to go on 4K because it's coming on digital like so soon. Yeah. Which I think is just like the way movies are being released nowadays. Like, even though it's coming out on digital so soon, it fucking made over $800 million worldwide, which is like insane because like when you look at the last MCU movie, Ant-Man, it didn't even make that much worldwide. Like it even make, like domestically speaking, I think Mario did better than Ant-Man, which, that's obviously is like two completely different audiences here, but at the same time, it's like you're talking about the biggest sort of like cinematic universe kind of thing within movies. And then you got fucking Mario over here. So, obviously like this movie franchise, whatever they want to do with it, has a good future. And I hope that they are able to dig deeper into maybe other Mario stories that they want to tell, something that they maybe couldn't have told within the games because those were just the games. But I think that for this movie being the way it was and sort of them setting up the whole, like, I guess like isekai thing with like, oh, like you got Brooklyn and then you got the Mushroom Kingdom stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, like that's kind of cool. But yeah, hopefully whatever they do next, it looks like that they're cheesing Yoshi more because there was like that one scene with like the, running Yoshis, but, I wonder on how this Yoshi is going to sort of play into the next movie's plot because obviously Yoshi's sort of like, I guess like the caregiver of Mario when he was like a baby or some shit like that within the game. So I wonder on how that's going to change and everything like that. Maybe it'll be Peach. Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Also, I really like when they brought up Baby Peach and Baby Mario and Luigi. They look like Baby Mario and Luigi. That was fucking cool. I'm like, damn, that was such a like unnecessary detail, but like they made them look like them, so that's cool. And Yoshi, I really hope Yoshi doesn't talk. To be honest, like he should just be like, he should just say Yoshi because I mean, I think he's talked in some games, but it's weird. So like, I don't want like fucking like some person voicing him. It feels weird. He should just go Yoshi and that's it. Like that's just kind of what he does. So yeah.
It should be like I guess like other animal characters within like cartoons and anime where it's like they say like their one line and then like the other characters like know what they're saying, like fucking Anya and Bond within Spy Family, where it's like he's saying Borf and then it's like I know what he's saying, but you know, anyways. But yeah, you know, hopefully whatever they do next with the Mario stuff, it ends up being good. I mean, I think that this movie in and of itself was just like a whole love letter for the whole Mario franchise, you know, them bringing a lot of stuff in from like recent games and whatnot, you know, having the whole element of like Bowser wanting to marry Peach. That's fucking Mario Odyssey right there. I'm like, that's such a recent game, but they're doing it within this movie, which I think worked well for the plot and everything. So, and obviously you have like all of the other references, like King Bomb Bomb, you know, like the fucking kid next to me was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, you fucking little shit, shut up. I know who that is. All right. I know.
It's King Bomb.
You know, and like when Mario was playing Kid Chris on his TV or whatever, you know, like there was just so many references and so many just like, you know, homages to just like the other Mario and Nintendo things that, you know, hopefully, you know, that follows within its sequels or whatever they decide to do.
Yeah, like I do feel like they're gonna have to start building. They can't just write off nostalgia forever, like with the sequel. Like people are gonna get kind of over it, so they really do need to start building up, like not like an overarching plot or anything, but just like a little deeper stuff. Because you know you can only be like Mario goes jump woo, like you know you can't really do that for a sequel. So you're gonna have to be a little deeper than that, I guess. So I guess we'll see what they do with a sequel. Maybe pull from some of the other games. Obviously, I think Galaxy is a big contender for them to do because we're talking about like galaxies and shit. So they have a lot of material to work with. It just depends on how they're gonna go about it, how deep they're gonna go. But yeah, either way, I think this movie was good. Hopefully the sequel is better. You know, I mean, I felt that way about Sonic 1 and 2. Like, I think Sonic 1 was a great sort of first movie, just introducing you, like, here's Sonic in this movie world. And then I think Sonic 2 goes really hard, was like, yeah, look at all this shit. So hopefully, hopefully the Mario movie can also do that, because I think this is a really good, fun movie. So hopefully the second one is better. So yeah.
Just one last note. I just remembered when you were talking about the galaxies. What did you think about that annoying ass star in the fucking cage?
Oh, the Luma? Being like fucking death is coming for us all. I thought it was kind of funny, but yeah, I can see how people would do it. I like the little Luma noise it does before it talks. I'm like, yeah, that's a Luma. So,
what about the Jack Black song?
Oh, the Peaches? I thought that was funny. Like fucking people were like fucking going crazy for that. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's fucking on the Billboard chart.
I mean, I'm glad that they made him such a incel simp, because that's kind of what he is. I mean, Bowser is like a simp. Like, that's his whole existence. He's like, yeah, I want peaches. So like, I mean, yeah, you go for it, man. At least you try. I mean, all his scenes are great. Like the fucking when Peach is just like, you think I'm gonna marry you? He's like, yeah, kinda. Just like, Jack Black killed it, I think, as Bowser, and I'm glad like they gave him that dumb song, because it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if anyone else could have done that within that voice, but
yeah. That's just Jack Black, man.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Godzilla?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 111. We will see you guys 3 weeks from now with the next episode.
See ya.